Welcome, everybody. Charlie here with JC3 Cards and Collectibles, back at it again. We are here to share a summary of our weekly sales here in the store. And I got my buddy Stu here to help. Stu's always not far to be found, always looking over my shoulder. We had a busy week here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. You will see we sold quite a bit more this week. A lot of things going on. We changed our strategies around some things. We added some new technology to the business. We had a little carryover from the previous week's release dates, and all of those things added up to a week that was very busy. Busier than really anything else that we had experienced here in a while. And that's good news. We are really working on growing our business, and a successful week to that end. I think we really found some things that are exciting for us to work on, bring you some good quality stuff, things that you want out there in the store. So we're going to break all that down. As always, we're going to start with an overall review of what we did this week, and we will be back right after this with that overview. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Looking back at the week that was and all of our sales for the previous week, we're making a few changes to our format here with this show every week. Just the volume of cards that we're selling is leading us to need to change a few things, but we still want to make sure we've got a little familiarity with what we have been doing. So we're not going to change everything wholesale, but our priority here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles needs to be listing and shipping and listing. You all know that. That's the key to this business. But we do still want to provide you some content to maybe help you on your journey through this type of business as well, and share in some of the successes and some of the failures and learnings that we have here as well. So to that end, you might see some things a little different this week. We're going to tweak some things in order to best manage our time, but hopefully you still see enough that is similar that brought you here in the first place. Speaking of that, if you like the content, make sure you smash that like button. If it's your first time here and you think this is something you want to see some more of, go ahead and click that sub button. We'd love to have you back here. Looking for feedback as much as possible. Post your thoughts in the comments, what you think. Maybe it was a surprising sell this week, or maybe some things you were wondering about. We always try to do our best to answer those comments as soon as they come in. So with that, let's jump on into some of the stats for the week. So here you see our typical stats that we look at. We've got three charts we look at every week here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. We've got impressions, page views, and quantity sold. These are really the big things for us this week. It's impressions. We always talk about being that window traffic, those folks out on the sidewalk. If we were a brick and mortar store on Main Street, we are looking for people to walk past our store, look in our store window, and find something interesting that makes them want to come in to take a closer look. So we're always looking to drive up impressions. This week, we had some favorable results. You can see a 15.5% increase in overall impressions week over week. Still getting a little over 100,000 impressions a day. And you can see it really peaked towards the end of the week there. Nice to see upward trend. That's what we're always looking for. Page views are what we consider people who stop, look at those things in the storefront window and say, I want to see more. And they step inside the store with the intent to possibly buy something. Another good growth rate here. Obviously, they can't buy something from you unless they look at your pages. So this is a key one. Up 20.9% week over week, almost 21%. Fantastic results on that. Really, really pleased with what we're seeing there. Little interesting mix on the dailies, though. You can see a spike on, let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, middle of the week. That was a Wednesday spike. I wouldn't normally expect that. Didn't have any special release this week or anything like that. But we did make some changes with our promotions this week around midweek. So that may have really driven that to see that little bit of a spike in midweek. But again, great to see. These are people actually coming in with an intent to buy something. They want to take a closer look at our items. And then the money stat at the bottom, quantity sold. There you can see 127.5% increase week over week. A huge Wednesday there. You can see all those metrics in alignment with a nice Wednesday. We sold 116 cards this week. That is a huge increase, and really, if you think about our overall increase, trending wise, overall we're up 59%, 127% week over week overall with quantity sold. But that also means our sales are up, and our sales are up 59%. So that is a sign of a good mix of sales going out there, different price points going out there. Really nice to see. I don't typically put the sales numbers up. I try to look more at the quantity sold. But this week I thought it was important to really kind of juxtapose that against the sales numbers as well. So as you can see, up 59%, a huge increase on those as well. So really, really happy to see the results this week at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Let's take a closer look at what some of those items were that sold and what the breakdown was. All right, so we can see we've got 4 charts in front of us. As you know, we are very data-driven here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. We like to analyze these things. My day job is really a manager in an office. We work with data all day long. So I like to stick with that data and really have a good look at some of the trending that's going on. And I'm going to join you here on your view. So in the top left corner, if you're not familiar with this kind of chart, this is called a Pareto chart. Most often I use these in assigning root cause to a trending issue. In this case, I thought it was applicable to show you the makeup of our sales by category. You can see we've got 2 different charts going on. We've got our bar charts and we've got a line chart. The line chart is the total overall sales percentage. So you see it goes from almost 0 to 100%. And then the bar charts, the line bar charts going up here are each category's segment of sales. You can see football, baseball, basketball, auto racing, pro wrestling, Batman, mixed martial arts, Star Wars, entertainment, tennis, precious moments. That's right, precious moments, and Marvel. And the breakdown of each of those makes up that overall line chart. So you can see we started Football, 27 items there, about 20% of our overall sales. Then we added another 25 baseball cards. That was another 20% or so. So you can see that line chart jumps up to about 40%. And then we added about 19 basketball cards. 19 basketball cards. And then we jumped up to about 60% of our overall sales for the week between just those three categories. Then we added some auto racing and pro wrestling, which jumped us up to, once we add those in, that jumps us up to over 80%. So what does this do? What does a Pareto chart do for us? Well, it tells us that these first 4 or 5 categories are the fuel to the fire. That is really where the big sales came from. And then you see those bar charts start to drop off. 6 for Batman, 4 for MMA, 2 for Star Wars, 2 for entertainment, and then the onesie twosies, tennis, precious moments, and Marvel. It helps me when I think about these and this trending. It helps me think about, what do I look for when I go to a card show? What do I want to prioritize in my listings? Well, I just came from a card show. If you haven't seen my pickups video from the Winneconne card show, we talked about sometimes I go in and the card show kind of controls my plan versus what I thought I was going to get when I went there. I ended up getting a lot of baseball, and wouldn't you know it, if you look at my total sales by category, baseball's number 2 on the list for last week. Heck yeah, I want to get some more baseball. I'm going to need more baseball because that's a big selling category in my store. Business 101, folks. Cater to your customers. So I want to stay on the ball with my football, my baseball, basketball, and auto racing. So let's make sure that we always get more coming in. We prioritize in the listing. Sure, we can continue to grow in some of those markets and have a few more diverse offerings. We always want to do that. But our bread and butter needs to be determined. And for us here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles, I think it's pretty clear. Football, baseball, basketball, auto racing, and some wrestling. Those are going to be some of the staples in our store. Then in the bottom left, you can see sales by sport. Actually, I backed it up. Let's play it again. Let's go to the top right, and that's sales by channel. There you can see we've got sport or non-sport, and by far 80% of our sales are in the sport channel, with only 20% in the non-sport. You might say, well, then why are you messing with non-sports if they're not much of your sales? One simple 3-letter word: fun. I think non-sport is really fun. It breaks up the monotony sometimes of listing, another Tom Brady or another Patrick Mahomes or another Shohei Ohtani. Sometimes you do those cards, those non-sports, for fun, something different. As a seller, I like to have some challenging items to sell sometimes. You pick up some things. I will tell you one. I picked up a mini Allen and Ginter hat at this Winneconne show that is of a bowler hat. It's a hat. A hat. Is there a market out there for someone looking to complete a set of hat cards? I don't know. That's going to be a fun challenge for me to see if I can sell that card. So that's why you do some of those non-sport ones as a seller. It adds a little variety. It also adds a little fun to your buyer group. There are folks that look for those non-sports. There are folks that are going to be paging through some of my listings and see something that makes them chuckle or smile and say, well, who has a bowler hat? I'm going to get that one. Or I picked up a bunch of cards featuring sharks. When Shark Week rolls around, maybe I'm going to find someone that's looking for shark cards. You just never know. So they add a little fun, a little variety. They break up the monotony of the sports a little bit. Some of those non-sports sets, there are diehard collectors out there like Marvel, Star Wars, things like that. Those are kind of those staple non-sports, but I also like to get some of those fun random cards as well. All right, now let's look at each channel individually. Now we'll go to that bottom left-hand corner. Now that I had a chance to look at by channel, we'll see sales by sport. And there you see where all those sport sales are coming from. You can see football 29%, baseball 27%. This lines up with our Pareto chart above. Basketball 21%, and auto racing 18%. So you can see those first four altogether tally about 80% of our sales for the week. Football is king, still carrying over a little bit from the Super Bowl. Football is also the sport that has the fewest highs and lows, I think. It's pretty steady throughout the year. It does not drop off the face of the earth once the Super Bowl is over. Other sports do that to some extent. After the World Series, there's kind of a dead period. After the NBA championships, there's kind of a dead period. Football is unique in that you get some consistent volume year long. So I would say football is king in the reseller market. Baseball's hot right now. Spring training is in full swing. We got spring training games started. I watched a little bit the other day. Before long, we are going to have the regular season starting. Plus, we had a new release in baseball just a week and a half ago, a Topps 2024 flagship. Basketball, 21%. We just passed the All-Star break. So things are going to heat up there as we start to think about the playoffs and who's going to make it. And then auto racing. We had a new release in 2023 Topps Chrome F1. We've got the NASCAR season underway. We're approaching race number 2 in the season at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So it makes sense that those are big sports that are selling right now. Then we've got a little more mixed martial arts. I like to have a little bit of that. We sold a few of those this week. Tennis I'm trying to remember which card it was. Might have been Coco Gauff that sold. So a little mixture. Didn't sell any hockey. Didn't sell any pickleball this week. Some of those other sports just didn't go this week. Didn't sell any soccer. But that's okay. They come and go. But I know my meat and potatoes is going to be the big four there: football, baseball, basketball, and auto racing. And if I can get a few sales in those other sports, great. So then our last chart there is sales by non-sport category. They're over on the bottom right. And there you see that pro wrestling really dominated this past week. I had a large order. That buyer bought both sport and non-sport, and a lot of that non-sport was wrestling cards. It is a passion in our household. We have fun listing a lot of wrestling. Sales aren't always huge on wrestling. They kind of ebb and flow. They'll spike here and there, and then I might have a week without any. But they're fun for us. There's that 3-letter word again. They're fun for us as a household to buy and list and put out there in the store, because we get to enjoy them for a moment while we are going through those cards as well. So you can see a full 48% of all our non-sport sales this week were from pro wrestling, predominantly WWE. I might have had a couple AEW cards in there as well. And then Batman was a decent seller this week. I've got a lot of Batman cards. I haven't listed them all yet, but we sold a good handful of Batman themed cards this week. I think a number were from the Riddler set, Batman and Catwoman. There was like an animated series set that I had some sell from. So good to see that purchase is paying off as well. I guess there was really no doubt in my mind that there was a solid Batman market out there. I need to do a better job of getting more of those cards listed out there, so buyers have a full plate to pick from. But good to see some of those going this week. Then we had some Star Wars. Typically have a Star Wars just about every week. If you remember the sales video from last week, you know that we did not have a Star Wars sale the previous week, and that was kind of an anomaly. That doesn't happen a whole lot. But we did sell some Star Wars. I think we sold some Topps 206 minis this past week. Some entertainment cards really didn't fall into any kind of specific category. They were like movie-based cards. Precious Moments. I sold a Precious Moments card this past week and a Marvel themed card last week. So good returns on what's selling in the store. That's what we like to see. We don't really want to be one dimensional. We want to see sales from a couple different categories within that, both the sport and the non-sport channels. All right, up next, we've got our recurring feature, Dude, Where's My Card? So a pretty big list this week. It's going to be a challenge for me to go through all of these. You can see we've got Stu out there approximately in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Had to move him over to the side a little bit this week because we actually sold a card in our hometown here of Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can see a place marker for every location we sent a card this week. Really spanned out across the United States, West Coast, East Coast, Deep South, Midwest. We didn't get a lot up in the Northern Plains and the mountains this week. That was one kind of gap in our numbers. And also, very unusual, no sales in the Phoenix area this week. That is usually a hotbed of card sales for us. Perhaps, this is just a theory, but perhaps that is because spring training kicked off and people weren't looking for cards there. They were at games, actually watching the prospects, not worried about going out and finding a card. But typically, I have multiple card sales from the Phoenix area every week. So we like to run down our roster here. Let's see if I can get through it. I better take a quick drink, wet my whistle, so to speak. I can try to get through this. Let's see if I can pronounce them all correctly. First sale of the week, Charleston, South Carolina, Andover, Minnesota, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Lehu, Hawaii, Papillon, Nebraska, Enid, Oklahoma. I had a couple sales to Enid, Oklahoma this week. Hagerstown, Maryland, Lafayette, Oregon, Sacramento, California, Chicago, Illinois, Hopkinton, Massachusetts, Wasco, California. Years ago, I spent a few years relocated for work living in Bakersfield, California, which is just down the road from Wasco. Wasco, a fascinating town. If you are a fan of college football, you are familiar with the Rose Bowl. And if you are familiar with the Rose Bowl, you should know that like 90% of all the roses you see in the Rose Bowl parade and all the festivities come from Wasco, California. It is amazing to take a drive through Wasco, California and just see acres and acres and acres of roses as far as you can see. If you're ever out in Southern California in the Wasco area, I highly encourage you to try and take a ride through and see the rose fields. It is amazing. All right, here we go. Continuing on, Austin, Texas, El Segundo, California, Santa Cruz, California, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, T, South Dakota, Spring Run, PA. Oh, that actually shows me that we are missing. Oh, no, we've got T, South Dakota on the map there. Looks like it is down just around the three corners between South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa, right in here. Thought I missed it, but it was so close to the border. It's there. Spring Run, Pennsylvania, Carthage, North Carolina. I've got some recurring sales that go to Carthage, North Carolina. Thank you very much. Rockford, Illinois. Fun story about Rockford, Illinois. When I was a child, I remember my parents earned a little extra money. If you will, they were early Uber drivers. We were living in West Allis, Wisconsin, I believe. And they knew somebody who loved the show Bonanza. If you're not familiar with the show Bonanza, it was a hit in like the 70s. Maybe into the early 80s, something like that. Because it would have been early 80s, late 70s for me when I remember this. But my parents ran into somebody they knew that was a huge Bonanza fan, and they couldn't get it on TV in our local market. Not everybody had cable back then. It's become kind of standard now. But back then it was, it was an extra expense that not everybody had. Turns out that Rockford, Illinois' local stations had Bonanza in syndication. And one night every week, this person hired my parents to drive them to this mall in Rockford, Illinois, where this particular electronic station would have the station playing as a demo on their TVs, and she would watch Bonanza in that electronics store, in that mall, and my family and I would go shopping around the mall while they did their TV binging, and then we would drive back from Rockford to West Dallas. How crazy is that? That might be the first official Uber driver. That could be my parents. I don't know. Look it up. All right, continuing on. Brecksville, Ohio, Alameda, California, Oakland, California, Staten Island, New York, Greenfield, Indiana, Newington, Connecticut, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Orange, California, Ionia, Michigan, Roseville, California, Bellwood, Pennsylvania, Philly's in the house, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I could have drove that one over. Where are we at? Portland, Oregon, Rochester, New York, Livingston, Louisiana, San Jose, California, Hayesville, Kansas, Mattoon, Illinois, Cleveland, Tennessee, Lexington, Kentucky, Troy, Alabama, Knoxville, Tennessee, Howdo, Knoxville, Henderson, Nevada, King of Prussia, PA, Monterey, California, and our last sale of the week. This occurred at 11:59 Central Time last night. San Diego, California, home of Ron Burgundy. Stay classy, San Diego. So there's a rundown of where all our cards went to. Most of them, well, I can't even say most of them. 100% of those deliveries executed by the United States Postal Service. Most of them, the vast majority, were done eBay standard envelope. Had a few Ground Advantage this week. Had a couple bigger sales. I had to send Ground Advantage. But very nice disbursement of sales this week. It's amazing when I think about where in the world all our cards are going to. We didn't have anything international this week, but pretty long trip to Hawaii, and that made it there in pretty good time to get that out there. So, as always, we like to spotlight two of our destinations every week. The first card we sold to Charleston, South Carolina, and the last card we sold to San Diego, California. So here we go. A little bit of more you know. So first of all, our first card of the week went to Charleston, South Carolina. They are our featured destination. There you see, to the top left, you see a photo of the Charleston, South Carolina ports. Pretty large port there. Not quite as big as Savannah, but it is in the top 10 of U.S. ports, actually. So Charleston is the largest city in South Carolina with a population of 150,277 good souls, and ranks as 74th in the list of largest metropolitan areas in the United States. Charleston was founded in 1670 as Charlestown, honoring King Charles II. It was a favored port for pirates in the 1600s. Arr! It's home of Fort Sumter. If you think you heard of Fort Sumter before, you are probably right. You probably learned about it in history class in high school. The Battle of Fort Sumter is generally considered the first official battle of the Civil War. Charleston looks like I've got a couple typos. I got to review that next week. Home of Charleston Battery in the USL Soccer League. The Charleston Outlaws, a rugby club. The Charleston River Dogs in minor league baseball. I believe they're affiliated with the Tampa Bay Rays. And the South Carolina Stingrays of the ECHL Hockey League. And people we know from Charleston, South Carolina, well, it is considered the hometown of Stephen Colbert, who came to fame on one of my favorite shows, The Daily Show. He was a correspondent on there for many years. And then he became a late night talk show host. Chris Middleton of our Milwaukee Bucks is from Charleston, South Carolina. And Darius Rucker, musician Darius Rucker, Hootie, if you don't know the name Darius Rucker, Hootie of Hootie and the Blowfish, is from Charleston, South Carolina. He's out there singing about his wagon wheel right now. And then honorable mention this week, our last card of the week, San Diego, California. There you see a picture of the beautiful skyline of San Diego out there from the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful weather is what San Diego is known for. It's always sunny in San Diego, right? Population over 1.3 million, and it is the 8th largest city in the United States. San Diego is considered the birthplace of California because it was the first site visited and settled by Europeans. And then a little North American history for you. San Diego is the historic home of the Kumeyaay Native Americans. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I actually, you can see I gave a phonetical spelling for not only you, but for myself as well. Kumeyaay Native Americans. That is their ancestral homeland. So shout out to you, everybody in the San Diego area and the Charleston, South Carolina area. So as you can see, pretty big week for us. Very nice week of sales. We kept really busy, and I expect this is going to continue. We're always kind of tweaking, adding some new things to our processes with the hope of growing, but not growing too fast. We need to grow at a rate that we can sustain our desired level of service. So far, I think we're doing that. We still got some room to grow. I think it will work out just fine. But for now, we want to continue to grow because we think we've got that room. We've got a little bit of room yet that we can still build our business and keep up with those standards. So we'll continue to tweak some things. We're going to have a busy week of listing new items this week. That should help spur some additional sales and growth. So up next, I think everybody wants to see what were the cards that sold. So we are going to dig into that right after this. All right, welcome back. We are ready to dive into our football listings for the week. I've actually got two pages of football to go through. So we'll try and get through that pretty quickly here. As quick as we can, I guess I would say, is probably the best way to talk about that. So let's see. Let's dive right into that. I'll switch over to the cards. All right. So here we go. We've got 2019 Panini Playoff, number 10, Thunder and Lightning, Roethlisberger and Smith-Schuster right up here in the top left corner. I'm trying to lay these cards out in the same order that they're going in the spreadsheet. So hopefully that allows us to follow through pretty quickly. Now, one thing I want to call out on these this week. You'll see some of these are highlighted yellow for the shipping label costs. The reason I did that is because that is a quick way for me to know that this was a multi-card sale. What eBay will do is they will split out those shipping cards between all the cards in that order. So you see 11 cents here, you know that the minimum for one card is 64 cents, and then it goes up from there. The only way it would be anything other than 64, 88, or $1.12 is if it went ground advantage, in which case it's going to be well over $3. Or if it was a multi-card sale, it'll be these small amounts like this. So that's a way for us to know this was a part of a multi-card sale. And you can see I gave a pretty good discount with that. I sold that for $1 because that was part of that 43 card sale that I made last week. You may have seen my video just on that sale alone. Up next, we've got a 1993 playoff Brett Favre right here. Second one on the left-hand column. That was also part of that multi-card sale. I sold that for $1.50. Then we have 2022 Panini Mosaic Steve Young Green Prism Hall of Fame from San Francisco 49ers. We switch over to the right-hand side here. That's a really sharp card. I had that for a little bit. I thought I would have been able to move that a little quicker than I did. But eventually, I sold that for $2.75. Then we go back down to this row in the middle of your screen. Left-hand side, we've got 2022 Panini Mosaic Tony Romo Orange Reactive Prism. That was a $2 sale right here. I seem to do really well with the orange reactive prisms. They seem to be pretty popular. I pick those up whenever I see them. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys have great hobby behind them. Up next is a 2020 Panini Mosaic Eli Manning Green Prism with the New York Giants. You can see him taking a step forward, getting ready to start his throwing motion. The green prism is always nice, too. That's one of the more plentiful ones we will see out there in value boxes is those green prisms. But they sell okay too, especially if you can get some color matches on them. Then it really makes sense for a buyer. So this Eli Manning Green Prism I sold for $3. Up next is a center stage insert from Panini Mosaic. Really sharp looking card here. It's a silver prism. Just pops for me at least. I really like the way it looks. That I was able to sell for $4. So the buyer agreed. That's a really nice card. Then we have an Eric Dickerson, a 2022 Panini Mosaic Prism. Eric Dickerson with the Los Angeles Rams. You can see the goggles in there a little bit. Eric Dickerson was iconic. Single season rushing leader for many years. I was able to make that sale for $3. Then we have a Thunder and Lightning Christian McCaffrey. Threw that in for $1. That's a pretty basic insert. Nothing too special about that. It's not a prism. So as part of a multi-card deal, I let that one go for $1. Then a nice little surprise here. I have a 1997 Leaf Elvis Gerback from the San Francisco 49ers. So I have this policy that I will buy some fringe players from every team in limited quantities, just because I know that diehard fans of that team will have some fond memories of that player. So if I think about the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to buy some Don Majkowski because a lot of Packer fans have fond memories of Don Majkowski, the Magic Man. But is he going to be a big seller today? No. So I grabbed some cards catering to a specific team market, and that's what I do with the Elvis Gerback here. I think I had that maybe 2 months. Didn't sell for a lot, as we can see here. I sold that for $1. But it made a nice throw-in a large multi-card order. Up next, we've got a Jerome Bettis. We've got a bust sighting. 1993 Upper Deck Jerome Bettis rookie card from his days with the Los Angeles Rams. Boy, he is one big dude for a running back, isn't he? You can tell even in this image. So I like to pick up the bus. He was an iconic player. Got a lot of hobby. I made the sale on this one for $2.25. And then we have a George Kittle sighting. A 2022 Panini Mosaic Green Prism George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. Like I said, the green prisms are pretty plentiful. They still look really nice. So for a low-end budget card, that's a pretty nice card for someone to buy. I had loaded up on some George Kittle this year, and tight ends just don't sell like the quarterbacks and running backs and receivers. So I did not go through a lot of them. So I was happy to throw in a couple of these Kittles. This one I sold for $2 as part of a large multi-card sale. And then another Kittle. This is out of the Mosaic Bang Insert Series, 2022 Panini Mosaic Bang. This is George Kittle of the 49ers. Again, not my favorite card. I would not be buying Bang inserts myself. But as part of that large multi-card sale, I threw that in for $1.50. And then we've got two more. I had to break this, as I said, into 2 pages. So we'll have another page coming up here. But we'll finish this page out with 2 more. We've got a 2023 Bowman U Chrome Pink Parallel Blake Corum from Michigan down here. I was able to sell that for $3. Michigan is still hot after the national championship. That was a single sale, so you can see 64 cents for shipping. That tells me that was a single card sale. And then, well, I take that back. It doesn't necessarily mean it was a single, because I could conceivably get 3 to 4 cards, depending on what they are, to weigh under an ounce and ship for 1.64 stamp. But it definitely was not part of my large volume sales this week. That's where you see the 11 cents coming in. So Blake Corum, $3 on that sale. And then finally, a Brandon Ayuk sale, 2021 Panini Mosaic Silver Prism, Brandon Ayuk of the San Francisco 49ers. See nice color showing there in the photography I took to put that listing out there. Really is that validation that, yep, this is a refractor, or prism, as I should say, for Panini. That was part of the large volume sale. I threw that one in for $1.50. So good page of sales right there. And we've got another page to go. So here's page 2. We have 2022 Panini Prestige Franchise Favorites insert of Lamar Jackson up here in the top left corner. That's a sharp card. I was pretty impressed with that. It's got a little holofoil refractor prismatic finish on it. You can see a little bit of color in there, see a little bit of the rainbow. And then it's got these little, in this picture, it just looks like dots because of the scale of it. But those are little Ravens logos in the background of the card. It is really sharp. I would enjoy having that card myself. I threw it in as part of the large multi-card sale for $1.50. Then we have a Baker Mayfield, a 2019 Panini Certified Seal of Approval. Baker Mayfield, $2 on that one as part of the multi-card sale. You can see that is a prism card as well, prism base. You can see the different color in there. Those cards are typically going to sell better if you can get a little color in there. Moving on to the next one, 2021 Panini Mosaic Base Prism. More color coming here. Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. You can see that over on the right-hand side of the screen. You see that color there again, validating, yep, this is a prism. Nice portrait-type shot of Matthew Stafford back in the pocket. Nice little sale there for $1 as part of the multi-card sale. And then we have a 2022 Panini Mosaic Stairmasters insert for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson stays hot. His prices became a little defeated after the loss in the playoffs, but his volume is still selling pretty well for me. So I need to get some more of that out in the store to keep it going. This Stairmasters insert I sold for $1, again as part of that large multi-card sale. Up next, we've got some Patrick Mahomes, a 2022 Panini Chronicles XR draft picks. Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. This is actually his Texas Tech uni. Typically, I would list that card as a Texas Tech Red Raiders card. I broke my own kind of standards here by listing that in Kansas City Chiefs. I probably did that just kind of absent-mindedly with the Chiefs all over the media. But normally I would use whatever team their uni is in on the image on the card. So if it was a Chiefs uni, I would list it as a Chiefs card. If it's a Texas Tech, I would normally list it as Texas Tech. So you can see in my listings here, I listed it as a Chiefs card. That actually goes against the grain for my own business practices. Just an oversight on my part, but I wanted to share that typically I would list that as a Texas Tech card. I sold that for $1.50. That was part of a 2-card sale. So you can see the shipping cost was 32 cents here. That tells me I shipped out 2 or more cards on that order to split that 64 cents. Let's see here. Then we've got a John Elway, a nice John Elway card. This is a 1996 Collector's Edge, President's Reserve, John Elway of the Denver Broncos. $3 sale here. That was a single sale. Nice little framed picture. I think that was acetate as well. It makes me think of the Topps Gallery with that nice frame around it. I knew when I found that card in a dollar box that I would have no problems moving that. I think I maybe had that in my store for a month at most. As we often talk about here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles, we like to specialize in those acetate cards, and we buy them up as quickly as we can, get them out there in the store and move those, because I think there's a real strong market for the acetate cards. I would actually say it's a love-hate relationship in the hobby. You have a strong contingent that absolutely loves them, and I am a member of that club. And then you probably have some that say, I like the more traditional cards. I don't like the acetate cards. That's fine. There's enough to go around for everybody, right? There's enough variation in the hobby to keep everybody happy. But we here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles, we are on the acetate train. So we scoop those up and get them listed as often as we can because we think they're a great addition to the hobby. Then we have some Michael Irvin, a 2016 Panini Unparalleled Rainbow Spokes. Michael Irvin for the Dallas Cowboys. Really cool prism effect here. You've got kind of like the rays of sunlight coming out of the center. They call them rainbow spokes because you see the different colors of the rainbow there as it catches the light. You got an action shot of Michael Irvin. Dallas Cowboys, huge following. I sold that card for $2.09 as part of a multi-card deal. Then we have Hall of Famer John Elway again. This is a more simplistic base type of card. This is a 1996 Topps John Elway 3,000-yard club. Kind of a unique design. It's got these little kind of dot matrix, little dots in the background. Makes it instantly recognizable when I come across it in the box. Would I have chosen that design choice? Probably not. But it does make it easily recognizable. Elway's a decent seller along the lines of any Hall of Famer, really, and a quarterback. I threw that in as a multi-card sale for $1.75. And you'll see that theme. A lot of these cards in this multi-card sale did not go for list price and did not go for a lot. And that's because when someone buys a 43-card order from me, there's a lot of shipping costs that I save on that I can pass on to the buyer. But I also look at it similar to activities at a card show. If I buy a couple of hundred cards from a dealer, I expect a deep discount. Now, I wouldn't expect someone in my eBay store to buy a couple of hundred cards to get a discount. It's scaled down a little bit, but for 43 cards, I am willing to, really consider a solid discount, especially for some cards that I've had for a while, that are $1.99 card, $2.50 cards. I will discount those pretty well because now it makes sense for me to ship them for less than $1.99 because I've saved on all those extra shipping expenses because I have the bulk buy to share those expenses over the course of a number of different cards. All right, Marcus Allen coming at you next. We got a 1997 Flair Showcase, Section 1, Row 1, Seat 32, Marcus Allen of the Kansas City Chiefs. $2 for that card. Nice classic design. You got the action shot of him carrying the ball, and then you've got the headshot. Must have been him on the sidelines in the background. Just a really nice design on these cards. I've got quite a few of these Flair Showcase cards. I have an artistic appreciation for them. They're not big value cards. They were printed pretty heavily. But I just like the artistry of it. And I always figure I can't be the only one. I am by no means an art snob. So I kind of look at it like I am Joe Everyman, right? And if Joe Everyman likes this, that's a market I can really play in. So, all right, up next, the great one, Dan Marino, 2023 Panini Prism Draft Picks, Dan Marino, Pittsburgh Panthers. This is a card that I really liked because it was his college uni. I don't see a lot from the college uni. I wish I could find more of that. If I can, I will scoop that up. Not huge dollar sellers. I sold this for $1.50. It was part of that multi-card order again. But I guess as someone with a great appreciation for history of all things, that includes football, baseball, history in general. So when I see something over the whole course of a player's career, I like to put that whole puzzle together and help a buyer put that together as well. So I think it's important when you look at Dan Marino that you think about his Pitt Panthers career as well. Then we have a great Kansas City Chiefs quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes. We've got a 2012 Topps QB Immortals, Len Dawson of the Kansas City Chiefs. Threw that in as part of a multi-card sale for $1. Really clean, classic card. I love the white background. I love the way the red uni pops against that. Really nice card. Again, appreciation of the game. There's been some great Kansas City quarterbacks before Patrick Mahomes. Joe Montana had a couple seasons there. Len Dawson certainly qualifies as a great one. Lots of other players before these current players. And I think it's important that we help share that history through cards. We've got one of our hometown Green Bay Packers, B.J. Raji. Had a relatively short career with the Green Bay Packers, but he was very impactful as a nose tackle. Unfortunately, had some injuries that caused his career to get a little shorter than most would have desired. But that was a $1.50 sale. That was a single I sold as well. It's a solid sale. I took a little bit under my listing price. I'm sure it was $1.99. I just knew that, there's not going to be a huge market for BJ Raji. So I will go ahead and take that and send that card out. At $1.50, I still make a quarter or so thereabouts. So it's not a big sale by any means. But I wanted to turn some cards, and knowing that, getting my full asking price on this one might take months and months, I was happy to take $1.50 after just a couple of weeks of listing that. And then our last one for football for today, we've got a 2014 Topps Platinum Clay Matthews, the Claymaker, down here in your bottom right-hand corner. Topps Platinum is a nice set. It's got a nice shiny look to it. It is a nice card stock, nice photography. Clay Matthews was an impact player here in Green Bay for a number of years before the Packers parted ways and moved on. The Packers have a philosophy that they want to part with a player as their prime years start to wind down. They don't want to be the last one with a player who is past their prime and trying to get a little bit out of them for sentimental reasons the last couple seasons. So as soon as they start to feel, okay, this player has hit their peak, they're starting a downward trajectory, they start to think about, okay, 80% of Clay Matthews is still better than 100% of a lot of other linebackers in the league. So we'll sign another year. And then the next year, it's like 70% of Clay Matthews no longer is better than all the other linebackers in the league. So I think it's time to part ways. We're going to trade or cut or not re-sign, even though that player would have 3-4 productive years left. But they really focus on keeping players through their prime years when they have, I guess I would call it a competitive advantage or athletic advantage against comparable players at their position still. And once they no longer have that advantage, they cut ties really emotionless. And I think as hard as it is to say that, I think that's the way you have to be as a pro sports general manager. As fans, we want to see those players stay with us forever. But as a general manager, you have a duty to overall team success. And in the Packers case, to team shareholders, even though there's, not really substantial dividends paid on that, you still have to answer to them every year. And it drives ticket sales as well. So I understand the philosophy. Clay Matthews, he had maybe 3 more seasons after the Packers parted ways with him, was still very productive, but was not the dominant player that he was in the minds of Green Bay Packers players who watched him for years. So I'd have to say, looking back, that the front office made the right decision on the timing that they had to part ways with Clay Matthews. I loved Clay Matthews as a player, really enjoyed watching him. At the time, I said, oh, we shouldn't move on yet. We should still keep Clay Matthews. I wanted to see him in the green and gold yet. But from a business perspective, looking back, I think the Packers made the right decision. And I think Clay Matthews would probably say that as well, now that he's removed from the game as well. So there are our football sales for the week. I told you we were going to have quite a few to go through this week. Took us a while to get through those. And then we still have a lot of cards from other areas of our sales this week. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with our next category, baseball. Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us this afternoon as we go through our weekly sales. Stu and I are still here, counting down all of our sales for the week. It's been, again, an exciting, busy week. We've still got quite a few cards to go. So why don't we jump right into the next category of sales? And that would be our baseball sales. Let's take a look at those now. All right, here we go. We've got quite a few. We had to break them into 2 pages again, so that we can get you a quick little shot of each of them. But we'll try and run through these kind of quickly so we don't take up your whole day. All right, we'll start at the top of the list. 2014 Topps The Future Is Now insert. Michael Nelson Trout up here in the corner. There he is. He's ready to steal another base, and he's going to do it right now. All right, we sold that card for $3.10. It was part of a multi-card sale, actually. But I believe I was able to put a couple of cards into a single eBay standard envelope and card saver and ship that out for 64 cents. We've got a 1995 signature rookies old Judge Joe DiMaggio right here with the red background. Cool old school card. Obviously this is a more modern card. It's 1995, but it looks like the old 50s old Judge card. I don't know what year that actually came out. It certainly does have a lot of nostalgia though. And Joe DiMaggio is a Yankee great, a Hall of Famer. I was able to sell that for $3. And that definitely came out of a value box. I remember picking that one up not too long ago. So a nice little spin on that one. Up next, we've got some Bowman Platinum. Some Michael Harris Bowman Platinum over here on the right-hand side. We've talked before about how Bowman Platinum is a sneaky little value title, brand, if you will. It's got that little refractor finish on it, get a little color. It's a modern design. They have a lot of prospects in them. So this one is Michael Harris II. It is a rookie card for him from the Braves. Made that sale for $2.50. Up next, we've got a Brandon Marsh sighting. Had this one for quite a while, so I was glad to see this one move. This is a 2022 Topps Chrome 1987 Topps Baseball throwback. The old 35th anniversary insert sets that they like to do. Brandon Marsh rookie card with the Los Angeles Angels. Sold that for $1.22 as part of a multi-card sale. Crucky coming up next, a 2022 Topps Stadium Club Chrome. John Kruk with the Philadelphia Phillies right here. He's looking for handouts with his helmet, I guess. Crucky is a unique personality. He's really entertaining. That's why he's made the transition to the booth as a color commentary analyst. He's larger than life at times. I picked this up out of a value box. I love Stadium Club, so that was a no-brainer for me. This one is part of a multi-card sale for $1.22. Kind of a unique final dollar amount on that one. Then we got some Shohei Ohtani. We've got a home run challenge insert. That's a contest that Topps would run. I think they do it every year. I don't know when they started doing it, but you usually see one every year they release. So this is a 2019 Topps home run challenge of Shohei Ohtani. I made the sale of this one for $3. Up next, we've got a couple black and white Ray Wave, which is always fun for me. I think these are kind of cool. I do miss the color, but the Ray Wave pattern in these I always thought it was kind of cool. These two sold, let's see, these sold together as part of a group sale. 2022 Topps Chrome Sonic black and white Ray Wave Joe Musgrove of the San Diego Padres. And then from the same set, also a Tyler Gilbert rookie card from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Joe Musgrove, I loaded up on him last year. He had a Cy Young season, or at least he was up in the voting in, I think it was 2022. And he was lights out. So I thought, okay, he's got some awards. He might move a little bit. He's a pitcher. He's not going to go a ton. But I didn't move much of that. Pitchers they just aren't big in the hobby. I don't know what else I can tell you about that. Like, you can be the best pitcher of all time. You're still not going to have him flying off the shelves, at least not in my opinion. So Joe Musgrove did go for $2, and then Tyler Gilbert went for $1.23. I give you that long talk on pitchers because these are both pitchers, and I was actually glad to see them go as part of that multi-card deal. All right, up next, we've got a Target Series card, 2022 Topps Complete Set, the Target variation. So if you're not familiar with the Topps Complete Sets, They do a Target version with some special inserts. They do a Walmart version with some special inserts. They do an All-Star Game special insert version. So even though you think you're buying the complete set, they have like 5 different versions of that complete set. So if you really want to be a completionist and collect every one, you've got a lot of cards to get. So I sold an insert, a relic card out of that one. This is a Chrome Rookie Relic, CRROC, for O'Neal Cruz. And this is one of his rookie cards. I sold that for $10. And the nice thing about that is it was thin and flexible enough that I was able to ship that eBay standard envelope and only pay 64 cents on that one. O'Neal Cruz is a player I'm still excited about. Unfortunately, he had a devastating injury last year, broke his ankle early in the season. Might have even been spring training. I want to say it was like the first week of the regular season. So we didn't get to see him in his sophomore year. But in my opinion, he was every bit as electric a player as a young rookie as Ellie De La Cruz was this year. So I think there's a lot more to come from O'Neal Cruz if he can recover from that injury. Up next, I've got a couple older cards. 1999 Upper Deck Ovation set. You can see these two with the baseball motif. That actually feels like a fake leather on the card. It's really cool. I just like the artistry that some of these card designers come up with sometimes. I sold 2 in that set to the same buyer as part of a large multi-card set. I sold a Quentin McCracken of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. He's here on the left. And then I also sold a Raul Mondesi, El Cañon, I believe he was fondly known as. And I sold both of them as part of that large deal. Mondesi with his Dodgers days. They both sold for $1.39 as part of that bulk deal. All right, up next, I've got a 1992 Mega Cards Babe Ruth World Series 1916 with the Boston Red Sox. Right here in the middle, bottom middle, you can see the lineup of the Boston Red Sox. Babe is right in the middle here, I believe. I love the old Babe Ruth cards. It doesn't matter that it was made in 1992. It could have been made in 2024. People who appreciate the history of the game don't care. They just know it's Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth is the biggest superstar I think the game has ever known. We are, over 100 years later, still talking about the feats that Babe Ruth did in baseball. Who wouldn't want to be remembered like that? That is just amazing. He's still relevant in pop culture. You know, you have movies like The Sandlot in the last decade or two that are featured around him. You still have major documentaries about him. That's because not only did he perform like nobody else on the field, but he also had that big personality off the field. So you think about Shohei Ohtani today. I don't think there's any disputing Shohei Ohtani is the biggest name in baseball today. He is a generational talent. He's overtaken Mike Trout as the best player on that team and the best player in baseball. The fact that he's a two-way player, he can pitch at a high level and he can hit at a high level is amazing. Babe Ruth did that 100 years ago. He did both as well. Why do we remember Babe Ruth? Because off the field, he was larger than life as well. Are we going to remember Shohei Ohtani the same way as Babe Ruth 100 years from now? My guess is we will not, because Shohei Ohtani is more quiet and reserved and respectful of Japanese culture off the field. He can do whatever he wants on the field, but his legacy is going to be limited in pop culture if he doesn't have that larger-than-life personality off the field, like Babe Ruth. And that's why today, in a regular, everyday conversation, it's likely that Babe Ruth comes up in the conversation multiple times a day. All right. That's just my opinion. All right, up next, 2000 Upper Deck MVP second season stand-ups down in the bottom right corner. We got a Derek Jeter sighting. Derek Jeter of the New York Yankees, the captain, Yankees' greatest shortstop. So we said year 2000, that sold for $2, and that is one that I've sold multiple of that card. If I see any more of that card, I will pick them up because they go like hotcakes. In fact, if I get some more, I probably need to raise the prices a little bit because they do sell so well. And then finally, on this page, we've got another Derek Jeter. We've got a 2007 Upper Deck Goudet, kind of a 3/4 sized card. I wouldn't necessarily call it the true mini, mini 3/4 size and full card, right? It's a little bit bigger than the typical mini, but much smaller than the regular standard size card. Sold that for $1.50. What I like about the non-standard size cards is they carry a little bit of a premium for taking care of them. It's not as easy to find them in good shape because their odd sizes get them tossed around everywhere, lost, even though they get mass produced, easy to lose, which artificially reduces the number of volume out there in the marketplace. So page 1 of baseball, not too shabby if I do say so myself. Had a nice double-digit sale with O'Neill Cruz and the relic card. Feeling a lot of offers on that. I think I initially listed that at like $16 to $19 when it came out. It's slowly deflated in its comps, especially after the injury. I was happy to take $10 to move on from that and jump into one of the new exciting players of this season. But I still say, watch out for O'Neill Cruz. He is one of the exciting young players for that Pittsburgh Pirates team that's got a lot of youth out there. All right, let's try the next page of baseball. 1993 Leaf Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball. You got the award-winning ribbon here. Nice little stylized design on that. Donnie must have just crushed one. He's celebrating it. I sold that for $2.01. I don't know why the 1 cent. I believe that is what a buyer offered. So that's what we did. Card number 2, 1999 Topps Gold Label. We love Gold Label here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. We'll pick those every time we see them out in the value boxes at card shows. We will put them on our store, and they sell pretty steadily. I'm not the only one that likes those. You can see we've got some color there. It's got a nice refractor type finish. Really good photography. I always got the dual image there. This was a class 1. I think there's class 2 and class 3 as well that are a little better images each time. But nice little sale there. $3 for Derek Jeter again. I will continue to grab those as often as I find them. Then we got our biggest sale of the week for singles. We've got a Chipper Jones. Some of you may have watched me. I shared that Topps hit when I opened that box of 2024 baseball flagship. That was my biggest hit out of that jumbo hobby box. An autographed orange parallel, numbered out of 25, Chipper Jones. Really a spectacular card. I held on to that a couple days before I even listed it at a realistic price because I wanted to admire it on my shelf for a couple of days. I was a big fan of Chipper Jones back in the day. I made the sale on this one for $140. Had to ship it ground advantage, as you can see, $4.02. I believe I shipped that in a one-touch as well. A nice little touch to safely transport that, and that way the buyer can display it in that one touch if they want, versus just a regular old top loader. That is something I would recommend. If you've got nice short printed autograph cards, put them in a one touch. They just look much nicer than just a bare top loader on a stand. So really nice sale there. Really helped with the overall sales for the week. Really jumped out of the numbers, if you will. But also wasn't the only nice sale of the week. We've got a few more. All right, up next, we've got a 2024 Topps Series 1 Home Run Challenge for Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox right here. Nice card design on that. Little explosion as they swing through the ball. They do the home run challenges every year. I think we talked about that on the previous page as well. But a nice little sale here on that card. $2 for that. Those aren't exceptionally rare. There's plenty of them out there, but they have a nice eye appeal. They're typically players that are pretty coveted as far as superstars on the teams. They don't just make that for anybody. So a nice little sale there. I think if you find the right players in that home run challenge, you can definitely flip those cards. Then we've got 2024 rookie class coming up here. And another auto, we've got a 2024 Topps 1989 Topps baseball throwback design. And we've got an autograph of Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles. So we got the dual hit there. We got an insert with the 89 baseball design, and we got an autograph. And a triple hit, we got a rookie in it. So it's the trifecta of goodness on that card. We made that sale for $42 this week. But we weren't done with Colton Cowser. We had another Colton Cowser for the week. We hit on a 2024 Topps Series 1 green foil, numbered out of 499, Colton Cowser rookie card. Again, Baltimore Orioles. This one sold for $28. So essentially you can see, okay, serial number versus autograph. Autograph still wins out by a little less than double the price. But a nice little profit to be made from the serial numbered green ice foil as well. Colton Cowser is, boy, that Baltimore team is just packed with talent. You know, you had Adley and Gunnar last year, and now you add this guy to the mix. Like, they're going to have the all-decade under-20 team or something like that. And they're good. These kids are good. They can play. So watch out for those Baltimore Orioles. They made the playoffs last year. I think within the next 5 years, they're pushing for a World Series title with all this talent. If they can stay healthy, that's always the question. All right, up next, we've got a 2024 Topps Series 1 gold foil Freddie Peralta of my Milwaukee Brewers. You can see that one right here, horizontal design. I like the way I had the light on it when I took the picture, because it looks like there's a street light shining down on it, or a spotlight shining down on my Brewers name. Fast Freddie Peralta, good young pitcher. He had some early success, relied on his fastball a lot. And then last year, hitters kind of caught up to that fastball. So it'll be interesting to see what Freddie can add to his repertoire this year with some off-speed stuff and some good movement, so that he can stay ahead of those hitters, because the Brewers are looking for a lot from Freddie Peralta this year, and I'm not sure he's ready for that. Our pitching staff is going to be a struggle this year, I think. But so if you look at this card, this is the gold foil, not to be confused with the gold parallel, which is a gold border around the edge, is not reflective. It's kind of a flat gold, and is serial numbered out of 2024. This gold foil is shiny, and it is not serial numbered. So be careful when you're ripping those blasters and hobby boxes and fat packs. Don't mix up your gold foil with your gold parallels. All right, next we've got a 2024, here we go, 2024 Big Mac, Mark McGwire, St. Louis Cardinals. This is a 1989 Topps baseball throwback design as well. Mac is not a huge seller for me. I feel pretty happy to make $225 on this one. I loved the home run race with him and Sammy Sosa. I watched that every night. That was much must-see TV for me every night. But the whole steroids thing has kind of deflated his hobby market, unfortunately. But I do appreciate Mark McGwire. This was from his athletics days. Of course, he went on to the St. Louis Cardinals, where he broke the record. It's interesting. My listing there, I listed St. Louis Cardinals. Typically, I would list the Athletics. I believe what I did here is I copied someone else's listing, and they put the St. Louis Cardinals, and I did not change that. Typically, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I list the team for that player as whichever jersey they're representing. I don't list every team they've ever played for. It's just not, it just doesn't feel right to me. If you want to do it, that's fine. I don't have that strong of feelings. I'm not going to give you a hard time about that. But I do see that a lot when I'm out there looking for a listing to copy over. People will list 6 different teams, like a Ricky Henderson. What are there, a dozen different teams he played for? And they'll list every one. I don't do that. If it's his Yankees card, I'm going to list his Yankees. If it's his A's card, I'm going to list the A's. You know, that's just my personal choice on that. But you can do it the way you feel is right for you. All right, 2 more cards to go in our baseball category this week. Next, we've got a 2024 Topps Series 1 team card of the New York Yankees. Right down here in the bottom left-hand corner. That's right, a team card. I list all my team cards, knowing that the Yankees are one of the first teams that'll sell, and true to form, it sure did. It went as part of a large multi-card sale. Sold that for $1 because that was a bulk buy for someone. Now, will I sell the rest of these team cards fast? Probably not. There's a couple I'll sell probably. I imagine the Dodgers might go next. Might sell some Texas Rangers, having coming off of World Series win. Things like that. Like, there's definitely going to be tiers of teams that sell faster and slower. But I like to put them out there, especially if the players in that card are relevant. So this one, centers on Aaron Judge, which helps that value. If I had an Angels card that's featuring Shohei Ohtani, that moves that up the pecking list and how quickly that's going to go. So you just have to kind of look at those teams cards and understand what you've got with that basically combined image of multiple players. All right. Then we've got a Juan Soto card. Juan Soto 2024 Series 1 San Diego Padres. $1.99 for this Juan Soto card right here. We've got him in a San Diego Padres camel jersey. Going to the Yankees now, so I think that'll help his hobby market. I think that'll get a little boost from playing for the Yankees, but nice little sale on that. So when I get to the base cards in a set, now I'm looking at names primarily. I will get the top names out there right away. Then I'll come back and look at some fringe names and kind of make another assessment. Do I want to list these? Do I want to put them right in my 10-cent box? Soto's in that tier 1 of names, though, that are superstars. I get him listed right away, even if it's in the base set. So that means the lesson there is base cards will sell. It doesn't always have to be parallels and inserts. Base cards for the right players can do well also. And then I notice that I'm missing this from my spreadsheet list at the top there. But I have one more card on the week. I've got a comic ball Looney Tunes from Upper Deck. I think this is like 92 or 93. We've got Sam the Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf punching in another day. in the sheep fields, the sheep grazing yards. They're friends off the clock, but once they get on the clock, never betwixt them do they mix. So it's a nice little MLB series where they don the MLB caps. This one has, I think it's St. Louis here and the New York Mets. Can't quite make that out in enough detail. It's pretty small for me, so I know it is for you as well. And I don't have the card in hand anymore because it did sell. I believe this went as part of a large deal. Actually, let me double check my spreadsheet because I might still have it here. There we go. Let me pop this over here. Looking through. No, I don't see it on my list for some reason. I may be in it. Oh, there it is. It's up. Okay, this one is out of order. That's why. It is on my list right up here. 1990 Upper Deck Comic Ball, Ralph Wolf, Sam the Sheepdog, Reds and Mets. Those are the two team caps they're wearing. So I did not post both sides of this card, but if I had flipped this card over and given you the image on the other side has another full unique image. It's a dual card. This is 237 and 252. Features the same two characters, but the image is different on both sides. So kind of unique in that, you know, your typical baseball card has a player image on one side, statistics or some kind of historical feat on the other side that gives you a story. In this case, with these Upper Deck Comic Ball cards, there was nothing like that. You essentially got two cards for the price of one. So those are our baseball cards for the week. Like I said, a really nice week. Quite a few baseball cards, right up there with all of our football cards we already went through. And we've still got a lot of cards to go. What do we want to go through next? Let's see here. What did we break down in our categories? Looks like basketball's gonna be coming up next. So I will be happy to go through that with you in just a few minutes here. I'm gonna go ahead and queue up our basketball here and get that ready to go. Not as many basketball cards. Maybe we'll get through those in just one slide deck. But we will start going through those here right after this, and we'll be right back with you. Welcome back, everybody. We are ready to dive into our basketball sales for the week. Getting into, we're about just short of an hour and a half into our sales review for the week. So yeah, pretty big week. We're going to have to think about, you know, how do we tweak this so that we can do this most effectively with you every week? Because I know some of you really enjoy watching this. Speaking of that, if you're having a good time checking out our sales for the week, please smash that like button. Let us know. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Give us a subscribe so we know that this is content that you'd like us to find a way to keep providing for you. One of our goals here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles is just share some of what we do with you, because we know there are a lot of others that have enjoyed this card collecting hobby for years and maybe have gotten to a point where they're not so much collectors anymore, and they still have these mountains of cards around, and they're wondering, what do I do with those? This is one of those avenues you could take with your cards and create a little little side income for yourself, or at least, sell down that backlog of inventory that you're no longer actively engaged with, and get a nice little profit for it. So, all right. So why don't we get into our basketball sales for the week, don't we? There we go. So I did have to break it down into a 2-pager again. Just too many sales this week to do it all in one. I had to split them into 2 so that you could get images that you could actually see well enough. The alternative is I could do a card cam on these, but I would have to do it daily as they sell. In order for us to maintain our 1-day shipping status right now, because we are doing this part-time and we are not able to ship all day long, we're kind of under a time crunch to get those out. I can't really stop and do a sales video every day or every couple of days. I just don't have that kind of time. So once a week right now is the best I can do. So I'm still trying to think about what's the best way for me to present these to you every week to see what's selling with Stu. Speaking of Stu, are you still here, Stu? Are you still awake? He's still here. Good. He keeps me going. All right, well, let's dive into these cards here. At the top of the list today, we've got a 1995-96 Fleer end-to-end Shaquille O'Neal of the Orlando Magic. Shaquille O'Neal is forever and always a member of the Orlando Magic for me. Those are my memories of Shaq. Those will always be my memories of Shaq. So that is his one and only team for me. I don't care about the time with the Lakers. I don't care about the time with the Celtics. I don't care about the time with the Heat. Shaq is an Orlando Magic player, and he is the star of NBA Jam. That's what I got to say about it. So we made that sale for $3. That was part of a multi-sale deal. So $3 is a pretty good price on that. Up next, we've got some WNBA. I had someone go on a Breanna Stewart run. 2021 Panini Prism WNBA Fireworks insert over here on the left of Breanna Stewart, member of I believe it's the Seattle Storm. Sold that for $2.80, but that buyer wasn't done yet. That buyer also bought 2021 Panini Prism WNBA Fearless insert of Breanna Stewart, and that one went for $2.10. But we weren't done yet. There was another one. They also bought this 2021 Panini Prism WNBA Get Hyped insert of Breanna Stewart, and that also sold for $2.80. So that's 3 Breanna Stewart cards for roughly $750, $760. I will take that every day. It was enough for me to say, if I see some more WNBA players, I need to pick them up because there is definitely a market for WNBA. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is a hot number right now. She will be in the WNBA next year. She's finishing her career at Iowa. That is creating excitement as well before she even gets there. Sue Bird was an amazing player. Diana Taurasi, lots of greats in the WNBA. Sabrina Ionescu was at the NBA All-Star event this past weekend and had a 3-point shootout with Steph Curry. Came up short against Steph, but her numbers would have tied the eventual winner of the 3-point shootout. So pretty cool to see women's basketball really starting to elevate itself and get closer and more on par with the men's game. All right. Up next, we've got a Karl Anthony Towns. We've got a 2022-23 Panini NBA Hoops Gravity Prism, numbered out of 75 for the Cat. Big Cat, Karl Anthony Towns. I sold that for $7.99 this week. Next, we've got the answer. Allen Iverson. The answer to what, you say? To answer to all your team's problems. That's what. This is the 2022 Skybox Metal Universe Champions. Number 10, Allen Iverson. Pretty slick card. It had kind of a light baby blue, a shiny background on it. I've had that for a little bit. This went as a multi-card sale. $1.25 was the price I agreed on for that. Up next, we've got a pretty cool card. This is a 1999 Upper Deck holographics awesome parallel of Baron Davis, and this is his rookie card for the Charlotte Hornets. We made the sale of this for $8. So the awesome, for those of you who don't remember your periodic table of elements, AU is the periodic table symbol of gold. It's Latin for gold. I forget what the AU actually is an abbreviation for. I just remember it's Latin for gold. So they did a little play on words there, and they spelled awesome, AUSOME. Really sharp card. It's got kind of like a silver refractor, silver prism finish in there. It's got the gold color. I would love to see more of these in the modern sets. I would probably collect something like this myself. In fact, now that I've sold one, I'm actually sitting here talking about it saying, maybe I should go back and collect 1999 Upper Deck holographics. Maybe this buyer will sell it back to me to start my collection. That would be something. But a nice sale there. That was a single. Sold that for $8. Then we hit on a little Jordan. We had some Jordan buys for the week. One was a single. One was part of a multi-card buy. So the first one here was the single. This is a 1996-97 Fleer Hardwood Leader, Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls. Got the fiery orange backdrop here. Makes for a striking image with MJ in his classic jump shot pose. Actually, that's probably not a jump shot. That is probably him elevating to a dunk. I don't know. Looking at the knee bend there, now I feel like I'm a forensic scientist again. Looking at the knee bend, I'm going to say he is starting a jump shot. It's just early in the phases of his jump shot. He's going to elevate, and we all know the legend of Michael Jordan, right? He's going to elevate about 10 feet in the air, off the ground. His feet will be 10 feet off the ground, shooting over Hakeem Olajuwon and every other, 10-footer in the league. It just gets better as the years go by. But all that said, I'm joking around, but honestly, Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time on the basketball court. Kobe was great. LeBron is great. There's been many other really good basketball players, but as far as if you had to tell me to pick one single player, it would be MJ, Michael Jordan. He's not only, iconic on the court, but he was also iconic off the court. People are still wearing Jordans today, thanks to his deal with Nike. It is unbelievable. But we had another Jordan sell as well as part of a multi-card deal. 1997-98 Upper Deck Collector's Choice Hot Properties, Michael Jordan. Again, Chicago Bulls. That's the only team he was relevant with, even though, late in his career he tried some different things. This is, kind of a basic design back in the 90s. Kind of the standard fare you would see. Nothing too special about that. I was happy to put that into that lot of cards for that buyer for $2. And then last one on page 1 here, we've got one of my favorite insert sets, 2020-21 Panini Don Ross Marvels. So it's got that, kind of superhero Marvels cartoon artwork there on that insert. It's a Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets. I sell quite a few of these inserts. This one sold for $3.99, which is a solid sale on those insert cards that I can find in those value boxes. Clean them up, turn them around, put the work in to list them, grind it out, and get that nice $4 sale for that. All right, let's go to page 2 and finish out our basketball cards for the week. First here, we've got a 2019-2020 Panini NBA Hoops Road to the Finals, second round. Kevin Durant, numbered out of 999. I don't recall which show it was, but I found quite a few of these Road to the Finals insert sets. They're all serial numbered depending on which round of the playoffs they were from. I picked them all up. I have sold quite a few. They don't sell for big money. This one sold for $4. I have no problems with that. I think that's a absolutely fair price for these. But there's quite a few of them I see at card shows. I'm going to continue to try and pick those up now that I've established that they are solid sellers for me in the store. Up next, Panini Chronicles Revolution Draft Picks. I love the Revolution, even if it's in Chronicles, even if it's the Draft Picks kind of sub-brand. This is a parallel. It's the Astro parallel, so you can see the stars in the background. You see the color from the prismatic appearance. And that's a Shaquille O'Neal LSU Days college card. That was part of a multi-card deal. I sold that for $275. That takes me back to all the media hype when Shaq was in college. Who's he going to go to? Where's he going to go in a draft? This kid is a phenom. He's, over 7 foot tall. He is athletic as all get out. He can run the floor. He can handle the rock. That was unheard of at that time. A big man that could dribble and control the ball the way Shaq could. Now, the one part of his game that was missing and is still missing, always was his jump shooting. But hey, when you're as big as Shaq was, you didn't need to have a great jump shot, especially once he got to the NBA, got into a professional strength program. He became just a hulk of a man, and nobody could touch him down under the rim. Then we got our home state hero here, 2023-24 Panini Prism Draft Picks, Hyper Prism, Dwayne Wade in his Marquette University days, the Golden Eagles. This is the card right here. So those Hyper Prisms are kind of similar to the X-Fractors at Topps. Just a lot of little cells in the background. You can see the color there. Dwayne Wade had a phenomenal college career, had a phenomenal NBA career. Will always be remembered fondly here in Wisconsin for the work he did with Marquette. I was able to make that sale for $3.99. Then we hit a couple Steph Currys in our sales this week. We've got a 2020 Donruss Optics Splash insert. And then we also have a 2021-22 Panini Donruss Optic My House insert. So different years, different inserts, same subject. Steph Curry, one of the top sellers as far as NBA names. These don't go for a lot, but they go consistently. The Splash insert went for $2, and the My House insert went for $2.99. Very nice sales with Steph Curry there. Then we've got the large mound of rebound. The NBA's number one color analyst there every weekend, every holiday. You can hear Charles Barkley out there talking about anything from basketball to gambling or his golf game. We got a 95-96 Fleer medal, number 84, Charles Barkley with the Phoenix Suns. So this is an interesting listing. Sometimes I get questions. Hey, what's the first thing that goes if you can't list everything you want in the title? Well, this one wasn't that long, but it looks like one of the areas that I would cut short is missing. I would take the city name out of the team. And that varies depending on what sport and kind of what the most common name associated with that. In this case, in NBA, I would put the Suns. People know the team name, and if you know the team name, you know what city it's going to be in, right? One of the differences is if I list a college and I have to find some extra room in a listing, I will drop the mascot name and just list the college name. So, for instance, if we go back to this Dwayne Wade, if I can't list Marquette Warriors, in fact, I did it in this listing here. I just list Marquette. I wouldn't list Golden Eagles, or they used to be the Warriors back in the day. I would drop the mascot nickname, and I would just leave the university name. Because I think in the college world, people are more associated with the college name than the actual nickname. Think of USC Trojans. Yeah, you know the Trojans, but if someone says USC football, that's instantly recognizable. If someone says Texas football, you think of the Longhorns, but Texas is what you're really talking about, right? Versus Texas State, versus what are some of the other ones that I want to think of? Georgia. You talk about Georgia. You don't talk about Bulldogs. Hey, did you see that Bulldog game the other day? You don't say that. You say, oh, did you see that Georgia game Saturday? I think in the pros it's different, and a lot of times we talk about the team nickname, not the city. We'll say, did you see the Suns game? Did you see the Brewers game? You don't say, did you see that Milwaukee game? Right? So it's interesting. I don't know if anybody else has ever thought about that, but I hit upon that a couple months ago when I was working through some listings. I was like, man, people talk about team names differently in college and in pro sports. And that's the difference that I noticed. All right, enough about that. Then we hit on 2 more cards to end off our day. Actually, 3 more. And I've got one missing here in the photos. I apologize for that. My last card of the day is missing. These next 2, we sold a couple Lonzo balls. One was a actually, I take that back. Both were part of a multi-card deal. A 2017-2018 Lonzo Ball rookie card. And this was a base from Panini Prestige. But then I also sold the parallel of the same card. This is a missed parallel. So I sold the base for $1.99. I sold the parallel for $2.99 as part of a multi-card sale. Now, the last card I'm missing for the day is in the list above. This was also the last card I sent for the week. It was an $11.59 Saturday night sale. 2021-22 Panini Donruss Elite Power Formulas Joel Embiid Philadelphia 76ers sale. I sold that for $2.70. Apologize, I don't have that in the listings here as I was changing over a little bit of the format for this week. If you notice, there's been a few tweaks here and there. I must have neglected to copy that one over. A really cool insert card. It's kind of a silver finish, but then it has kind of these purplish red swirls in the backdrop. It looks really cool. If you haven't seen a power forward insert from Donruss Elite, take a look at them. Look them up. It is pretty cool. You get the idea. We've been at this for a while. I don't want to drag it out any longer for you. But those are the basketball sales for the week. As I said, quite a few basketball sales. A good week for us. We've still got more, though. We've still got more. We're an hour and 45 minutes in, and we've got many more. We're going to have the this was the basketball. We're going to have the auto racing cards coming up next because we still have a lot of cards to go. It is amazing how much that our sales have changed in this past week. Just from a few little tweaks on our store, our promotions, participating in the release date events, we saw a huge level of growth. And it's really been fantastic to see that. So we're going to take a little break here. We will come back with our auto racing cards for the week right after this. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting through it here this week. The week that was all of our card sales for the previous week. We've gone through our football. We've gone through baseball. We've gone through basketball. Up next, we've got the auto racing category, NASCAR, F1. Good week there. Cards going out the door. We've got the NASCAR season in week 2 right now. The Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. The F1 season just conducted, I think, 3 days of testing in Bahrain. Next weekend will be the first race of the 2024 F1 series season. So that means auto racing heating up as well. Selling some cards. That's what we do here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Right, Stu? He says yes. Simple as that. All right, so let's dive into those auto racing cards right now. We've got, there we go. So starting off right away with the F1 circuit, we've got a 2021 Topps Chrome Formula One Lewis Hamilton up here in the top left corner. Lewis Hamilton, one of the GOATs. He's still active. I think he's going to be remembered as one of the GOATs in F1, along with like a Michael Schumacher, along with like an Ayrton Senna. All of those guys. He has been dominant for many years. Now I think he's maybe starting to wind down a little bit, but his hobby is still high. This will be his last year with Mercedes AMG Petronas. Next year, he'll be going to Ferrari, wearing the red fire suit, driving the red cars. That's kind of the dream of all F1 drivers. If you grew up in that sport, you idolize Ferrari and the Ferrari red, I think. So Max Verstappen has been kind of coming on and taking over the sport, I think at the expense of Lewis Hamilton. The age creeps up on you in F1. At those speeds, with all those corners they're taking, with the overtakes happening, reaction time is a big thing. And unfortunately, as you get older, that reaction time starts to slip just a fraction of a second. And that can be enough to be the difference between number 1 on the podium on a regular basis in F1 and number 3 or number 5 or did not finish. So Lewis Hamilton still an iconic figure in F1, still competitive out there, still a lot of hobby, but we haven't seen a world championship now in a season, so will be interesting to see if he's got one more left in him. All right, up next. Oh, by the way, sold that card for $2.10. That's a base chrome card. And it is not the portrait card. That is kind of an action on track shot. So $2.10 is probably about right for that card. That was part of a multi-card deal, so I provided a little bit of a discount. I think I was probably asking like $2.99 or $3.50 on that one. All right, let's go to the next one. 2021 Topps Chrome Sapphire F1. Pierre Gasly, Grand Prix winner in Italy. That's this card right below it. Not a great photo image I took of this one. It's a little dark. I think I've learned, well, you can see another Sapphire I took more recently. I've definitely learned to do a better job with those. So this one I've had for a little while. It's one of the first F1 cards I put out there. Made the sale this past week for $2.45 on that one. Again, all of the cards on this page of the auto sales are all multi-card sales, part of that large order that I had this week. Up next, we got a 2021 Panini Prism Racing Jeff Gordon flashbacks. So you can see that right here. Jeff Gordon, one of those iconic NASCAR drivers. You can see him in his rookie year and in his later years. You can see the toll age takes on a person, right? Sold that as part of that deal for $1. Then we had a 2007 Press Pass After Party, Martin Truex Jr. I believe Truex Jr. won the Cup last year. I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, so don't quote me on that. I'm more into F1 now, and I'm new to that field as well. But I sold this Martin Truex card for $2. I believe Truex won the Cup last season, and I think that's why I was able to sell this card this year. Sold that for $2 even. Kurt Busch is next from the Miller Lite card. Kurt Busch, this is a 2006 Press Pass VIP Kurt Busch. Sold that for $1. Kind of a throw-in that large bulk buy. Kind of an unassuming card. The VIP is tier up from the regular Press Pass basic sets, but not all that exclusive. A little bit of foil on it with the logos, but really nothing more special than that. Ironically, somehow I ended up with a Miller Lite racing hat years ago. I still have it in the house here someplace, but it perfectly matches the logo on his fire suit. Even got a little Miller Lite beer bottle pin on it. It's interesting. As I'm thinking about that, I'm like, where the heck did I get that? And I have no idea. Up next, we've got 2021 Topps Chrome Sapphire, one of the Cars variations of the base set. This is George Russell, Mercedes AMG Petronas, second driver next to Lewis Hamilton, I believe. So not really a driver shot. You can see his helmet popping out of there, but really this is all about the car itself. And F1 fans, I'm finding, are very interested in the specs of the cars. Over the last week, maybe the last 2 weeks, if you pop on any F1 channels on YouTube, you will see big stories about all the new car reveals for the year. Because every year they will go in and do some tweaks to the cars. So F1 is interesting. Well, I guess it's not that different from NASCAR. Both of them have a set of rules that define kind of a competitive baseline for the cars. And then in F1, these cars are completely constructed by the teams. They can buy chassis from certain manufacturers. They can buy engines from certain manufacturers. But they are assembling it all together and doing all the fine-tuning, doing a lot of the body work, really trying to find some innovation. And the cars consume a lot of content on F1 as they look at, okay, I see some new air inlets over here. And if you look under here, they've cut away part of the tank this year, the fuel tank. And it gets really technical really fast. I'm not quite there yet, but I can see where these cars have a market as cards themselves. Some people will say, oh, people just want the portraits. They don't care about the cards, and they're just going to throw them, either toss them or throw them in a 10-cent box or something like that. I think it makes sense to list at least those of the kind of the upper echelon teams, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren maybe, because I think there's a huge following of the cars themselves. So that card went for $1.58 because I discounted it quite a bit on the multi-card sale. All right, up next we've got a 2021 Panini Prism Richard Petty flashbacks. So this is just like the Jeff Gordon car from earlier, and you will see that we've got the early days and the late days of Richard Petty. Really a cool juxtaposition of old and new. Pretty plentiful card. Put this one in there for $1. I probably had it at $1.99. So $1 in a multi-card sale. I'm happy with that. 2022 Topps Formula One Grand Prix winners, Lewis Hamilton. Down here, sold a number of Lewis Hamilton cards in the past week. So this one commemorates one of his Grand Prix wins in the 2021 season. Sold that for $1.58. Got a lot of eye appeal here too with the Union Jack back there. So very patriotic for the UK fans. And then finally on this page, we've got a 2022 Topps Formula One Racing Sergio Perez, or Checo as he's known, for Oracle Red Bull Racing. That is a base card. It's an action shot. Probably, if I think of the tiers of F1 cards, that's probably the lowest tier. That sold for $1.39. Again, I would have had it out there for $1.99 in my store as the lowest floor of pricing. If it was a chrome card, I would have had it out there for probably $2.99. But this was a paper base, pretty basic card. Happy to get that in that bulk sale for $1.39 as well. All right, let's go to page 2 of our auto racing sales. 1992 Max Red Parallel Bill Elliott up here in the upper left-hand corner. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Sold that for $1 as part of the bulk deal. 2022 Topps Chrome F1 Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes-AMG Petronas, $1.75 in that bulk deal. So again, not the most exclusive card. It's a driver shot on the track in action. He's actually celebrating there, kind of that lowest tier of the base cards. It is a chrome, so I got a little bit more than the Checo card we had for $1. This one went for $1.75. Up next, we've got a Fernando Alonso, the senior of the circuit. Topps 2023 Topps International Trading Card Day Formula One, Fernando Alonso, $2.25 for that. This was a score in a box at the Green Bay Card Show. Found a bunch of these International Trading Card Day cards. I find that a lot of people kind of sleep on these because they're printed a lot. They're not super rare, but being affordable sometimes makes them desirable to a broader market. And I think that's the case with these International Trading Card Day cards, because I have been selling a lot of them. You've seen some of them go in my weekly sales videos, I'm sure. Soccer and auto racing, I've sold quite a few of them. Those are primarily the ones I find and pick up. Now we've got a couple Topps Black and White Ray Wave. So 2022 Topps Chrome Formula One Black and White Ray Wave refractors. This first one here is Lewis Hamilton. That I sold for $3.49. So now when you get into the chrome and the refractors, you can see the price level jumps up a little bit. I think I probably had this out there for $3.99 or $4.99. Might have had it for $4.99 because it was Lewis Hamilton. This went in the bulk sale, so I was willing to take $3.49 for that one. Now this George Russell, this is from the Cars variation, but you get a nice visor open view of George Russell. That one went for $2.09. I'm pretty sure I probably had that out there for $3.99, maybe $2.99. So again, discounted for a bulk sale. Nice cards. They make for nice flips. I will stay looking for those and get some more when I find them. All right. Next up, we've got a rookie card. We've got a 2023 Topps Chrome Formula One Gold serial numbered out of 50 Logan Sargent rookie. So this is from the new set that broke not last week, but the week before. I think Friday, as the week was coming to an end. I partook in a release day opening, and I got some of those listed right away. Took a few days for this one to sell, but I had utmost faith that I would have no problem moving this. I was excited when I hit this, as rookies in F1 are pretty exclusive. And to get a serial numbered parallel is fantastic as well. I made the sale for this one for $70 even. Next, we've got a 2023 Topps Chrome F1 Cars variation. Red checkered flag, serial numbered out of 5, Kevin Magnussen. So you can see that one down here horizontally affixed on the card. You can see the Haas Racing car here. Kevin Magnussen is barely visible in the halo here. but that beautiful red checkered flag finish, serial numbered out of 5. This is one I struggled a little bit to find the right market for, because the price point on the driver cards of this type of serial numbered out of 5 is huge. But I knew this was the tier 3 of that with just the cars. So the question became, okay, where is that right price point? Ended up finding a buyer for this at $135. The exclusive print run of only 5 is what does it. And the F1 market is very elite a lot of times. There's a lot of money in cards in F1, just like there's a ton of money in the racing itself. So I knew there would be solid value in this card. I just didn't know exactly what it would be. So it took me a little bit to find that right price point. But really happy that I was able to get $135 for this. That pays for roughly 60%. I think 60% of that box. So with the other sales I've had, I've been able to cover the cost of that box and then still have some cards for profit after that. So release day box ripping can be profitable, but there's a finite window to really flip that and maximize on what you can do with it. So was happy to see a week out, I've sold the bulk of the big hits. Now I've got a lot of base cards that I can, work with after I've paid for the price of that hobby box. All right, going on to our last card of the week for auto racing. We've got another new one in the release set. 2023 Topps Chrome F1 Award winners. Purple checker flag, 192 Felipe Drugovich. Forgive me, I'm not familiar with that driver, so it's really hard for me to pronounce that name correctly. I think it's Drugovic. So again, that checkered flag refractor, I think that's really cool for an automotive set racing. Now this is the purple variant, not serial numbered, so you can think of that like, a lot of the ones you would pull out of a blaster box or something like that. But this particular F2 driver certainly looks like they're on an upward trajectory, because it is one of just a few that I have sold from the F2 circuit now. I was able to sell that for $4.99, which I think is a pretty nice sale for a driver on a junior circuit. So there are auto racing cards for the week. You can see that pretty good turnout on those as well. That takes us into everything else we have left in sports. We're going to be back in a minute. We'll talk about some MMA. We'll talk about some tennis. And then I think we'll dive right into our non-sport cards as well, since those were a little bit of a smaller bucket. So we are just about done, folks. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, checking out our sales for the week. Hit that like button if you're enjoying it. First time here and you like what you're seeing, hit that sub button so we know that you want us to keep creating this type of content. We are going to take a little break and we'll be right back with more. All right, welcome back. So we are going to finish up our sports channel with a couple odds and ends. We've got some MMA. We've got some, what else do we have? We've got a little tennis. So why don't I bring it in right away for you? We'll pop it up on the screen and get started with that. All right, here we go. Here we go. So we've got 4 MMA cards and 1 tennis card. Pretty interesting stuff here. All but 1 are female. We talk a lot on the channel about, female sports, female athletes really having a revolution of sorts. And whether it's pro wrestling, whether it's MMA, basketball, the card hobby in general, we are really seeing a lift in female participation, and acknowledgement of the athleticism and the equality between men's and women's leagues. We talked earlier in this week's show about Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu and a 3-point shootout. It is really cool to see, and I think this week's kind of miscellaneous sports, if you will, if you look at the cards that sold there, that kind of tells that story as well. So let's jump into them. Up first, we've got a 2021 Panini Chronicles Black UFC Holly Holm up here in the upper left-hand corner. So Chronicles is nice. It's a nice value way to get some of these sets you might not buy on your own. I don't know that I would ever buy a black set. It is a little pricier than typically what I would buy a whole box of. But when I get Chronicles, I get a chance to get some of the black brand cards in that set. Same with XR, same with a few other sets that I come across that all come in that Chronicle set, which gives you a sample of each one of their brands from Panini. So that's kind of a cool concept. I like that they do that. Gives the average buyer a chance to check out some of these different cards. So this Holly Holm sold for $2.50. You will see all these MMA cards are part of a multi-card buy. And a buyer really went all in on Holly Holm, because you'll see the next card too. 2023 Select UFC Snapshots Silver Refractor. Again, Holly Holm right here. She's in the middle of a front kick. She was, what did they call her? Was it the Preacher's Daughter or something like that? Was that her ring nickname? I think it was the Preacher's Daughter. She actually was very prominent in the UFC for a while. I don't know if she's still active today, to be honest with you. I feel like I haven't heard her name in a while. I'll have to look that up and see if she's still active. But I know 3-4 years ago, when I was still watching quite a bit, Holly Holm was one of the big names in female MMA. So up next, we've got a Conor McGregor. I don't know if he'll ever die in the hobby. As far as MMA, he was quite the character. A 2022 Panini Donruss UFC Craftsman insert for Conor McGregor. He's draped in the Irish flag there. The Craftsman logo on the top, kind of a gears backdrop. I think that's a pretty cool card. I like the idea behind that insert. Sold that for $2. Oh, by the way, this Holly Holm refractor we just talked about, $4. $4 I was able to sell that for. So not just a little cheapie there either. $4 is a substantial sale for value box cards that we're typically talking about. All right, and then another Holly Holm on the day. You've got her over here getting ready to step into another kick. 2023 Panini Donruss UFC Holly Holm, $1.99 for that one. So that's like a base paper, I think, for Donruss. Not the most glamorous pose for her either. It makes me wonder. I remember sitting with the Dollar Box, Adam from the Dollar Box. When we go to a show and we're both there, we typically have lunch together, or at the end of the show, we'll sit down and grab something to eat and compare what each other got from the show. And I remember looking at this one saying, I wonder if the athletes get a chance to approve the photos that get used, because this is certainly not a very good photo of Holly Holm. She's got, it's an action photo, so sometimes you're going to get that face contorted into different looks. And this is not a very appealing picture of Holly Holm, especially, compared to these other ones. These are much more marketable photos of Holly Holm than this one. So it's interesting to me that got out of there and made it through the process of vetting those and got into the print run. So $1.99 on that. That's a basiest of base cards. So I'm okay with that. And then we've got a 2021 Skybox Metal Universe Champion, Metalized Rookies, Naomi Osaka. I thought maybe I had a Coco Gauff in my sales this week. I think I mentioned that earlier, but it wasn't Coco Gauff. It was Naomi Osaka, rookie card, the metalized inserts. Pretty cool card nonetheless. I don't watch a lot of tennis to stay up to speed on all the names in tennis, but I have to say that I think this was a cool sale. I definitely did the right thing pulling that aside and getting that listed when I got that in that Metal Universe Champions box. This was a box rip for me, a blaster, I believe. $225 for that. That's a nice sale out of a blaster. I will take that every day of the week. So that is the rest of our sports sales for the week. Quite a few that we went through this week. Took us quite a while. We're at the 2:15 mark on our clock here. So that leaves us just one more sales channel, and that is the non-sport sales channel. So we're going to have some Star Wars. We're going to have some pro wrestling. We're going to have some Batman cards, quite a few Batman cards. And we are going to go through those cards right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Apologies there for a little bit of a technical glitch. It's been a long, crazy week, and that carries into today as we're going through this. All right, so we have reached the stretch run. We are in the final segment, and Stu says he's ready to wrap it up too. So we are going to go through our non-sport sales this week. So everything in our non-sport channel. And then we've got a couple categories we're going to go through in there. We've got some Batman, some wrestling, a couple different things. I'm going to break them down into two groups for you. I'm going to do wrestling, and then we're going to do everything else for you. So this is our final stretch run. Let's jump on into those now. Let's see here. There we go. So we've got all of our wrestling cards here ready to go for you. Let's start at the top of the list. 2022 Panini Chronicles WWE The Undertaker. Rest in peace. I missed The Undertaker already. I know it was his time to retire. He was getting up there. He couldn't do things in the ring that he used to be able to do. It was really taking its toll on him. But I miss him. Such an iconic character. We were able to sell that card this week here in the upper left-hand corner. $2.50. Nice sale. I've had a few of these, so I've been able to make some repeated sales on these. Nice little sale. Good to see that The Undertaker is still strong in the market. Then we had some Sasha Banks here. Sasha Banks hasn't wrestled in a while. I did hear she made an appearance someplace, maybe in AEW or something like that, but I don't think she's been actually active in the ring. I think it's been a while for that. I think I got one of my lights here that is bouncing around a little bit. All right. So Sasha Banks, red, white, and blue Prism, 2022 Panini Prism. This one went for $2.50. Even though she hasn't been active in quite some time, she's got pretty strong hobby in the market yet. Her items sell pretty regularly for me. I always pick them up whenever I can find them. Up next, we've got Bryan Danielson. So this is a 2022 Upper Deck AEW main features insert for Bryan Danielson that I sold for $1 as part of a multi-card sale. This was actually a big lot of cards. You may have seen my video on that multi-card sale this week. 43 cards went in that order. And they selected this Bryan Danielson card as well. So I threw it in for $1. Actually, a number of these wrestling cards went in that buy. And you'll see $1 on a lot of these because with that many cards, I can give a pretty good discount. Up next, we've got The Rock, active in the WWE again. He's in a storyline right now with the Bloodline, with Cody Rhodes. There was a little tease of a WrestleMania match between him and Roman Reigns, but then the story got changed, and now we've got heel Rock back. So he's hot again in the market. This is a 2022 Panini Chronicles Absolute of The Rock, and I sold that for $1 in the large lot that I sold. Up next is a Gunther card, 2022 Panini Chronicles Origins Gunther. Nice looking cards here. He's got the red coat in. The Origins has the nice airbrushed background on it. I do kind of like those. You'll see one here for Batista later too. So you see that little airbrush of color. I think that's a nice touch. It's an affordable set. This one went in the large lot for $1 as well. Then we have superstar Billy Graham. Rest in peace, my friend. Passed away, I think, early last year. This is a 2022 Panini Chronicles Score WWE of WWE Legends. So that's a variant in the base set. Technically, I don't think that's an insert. That's just a variation on the base set. Threw this in on the lot for $1 as well. Then we've got another WWE Origins card. We just talked about that a little bit. This one's of Batista, again out of the 2022 Panini Chronicles Origins. This one went in that lot for $1 as well. The Animal is what Batista was called in the WWE. That was his nickname. Next, though, we have another card that went in that large lot, but it went for a little bit more because it is such an iconic character. This is a 2023 Panini Select WWE Legends Concourse Silver Prism Reza Ramon, the bad guy. So he unfortunately passed away, I believe, last year as well. He battled some alcohol issues over the years, probably some other drug issues as well. Really kind of lingered around in WWE for a while, and even his introductory foray into the WWE, which was, I think, WWF back then, didn't really go over well until he found this Razor Ramon character. And then he just took off, had an intercontinental title run that was pretty successful, became this iconic character, could come back whenever he wanted. In his later years, he dropped the Razor Ramon because he left WWE, went to WCW, and because of copyright laws, he couldn't take the Razor Ramon character. So then he wrestled under his real name, Scott Hall, and started the Wolfpack with Kevin Nash, and was part of the Clique with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. It really took on a life of its own then after that, because NWO came back. So the Wolfpack was the NWO as well. It gets kind of complicated now that I'm thinking about it. All these different names for these factions and groups, but they're all really the same guys. They came back to WWE as legends later on, and still came back as Scott Hall. Didn't really use the Razor Ramon name anymore. But really a cool character in the WWE. I was happy to find this card in a box one day. I knew there would be a market for that. So even though this was in the large lot, this went for $2 even on the sale. Then we have a 2022 Panini Prism Legend Red, White, and Blue Prism, the Demon Finn Balor. I think this might be a misprint in my title that I have Legend, because Finn Balor is active now. He has only been around, 5 years maybe. I wouldn't consider him a legend yet. So I think that was an error in my title. Didn't keep it from selling though. So this is the entrance makeup version, the Demon Finn Balor. Finn Balor is really known for theatrical entrances in the indie scenes and in NXT. He did all these, and they weren't always this character, the Demon. It was just one of the ones he did. It's the one that became most popular in the WWE. But I've seen him do different superheroes, and I've seen him do Jack the Ripper. Really does a fantastic job with it, but he doesn't pull it out very often anymore. Used to be for big pay-per-views and big matches, he would pull out the Demon. Now he doesn't really use it anymore. I think he reached a point where he's like, either I'm a wrestler or I just do entrances. So now he leads a faction in WWE with Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio. So he is still very active, still very popular. He doesn't bring out this character anymore. And I think with the red, white, and blue parallel, it kind of almost a color match with his makeup for the character. I thought this would make for a nice market with this for any wrestling fan. Now this went in the lot that I had, so I did sell it for $1.50. I think had this been a single sale, I could have gotten much more for this. Then down here at the bottom, we've got Walter. And you might say to yourself, well, that guy looks a lot like this Gunther guy in this Origins card. That's because you're right. It's the same guy. So this is, down here on the bottom, this is a 2020 Topps Finest WWE Walter. So, Gunther, as he's known now, wrestled in the European circuit under the name Walter. He had a very successful run. Got signed with NXT UK, had a title run over there as Walter, came over to the US and started in NXT here in the US as Walter as well, but eventually they gave him a name change to Gunther. Did that do anything for his success? I don't know. All I know is he now is the record holder for the longest reign with the Intercontinental title championship. So he is a really good wrestler. He's a ring technician. They call him the Ring General. And he looks at his shtick is the mat is a holy place to him. You have to earn the right to be on that mat. And he is often the judge on whether or not you have earned that right. He travels with a couple of tag team specialists, and together it's a stable called Imperium. Pretty successful, really good wrestlers, tacticians in the ring. So Walter's got a good market as well. I sold this for $2. That was also part of the lot. So $2 in that lot is $3 or $4 as a single. Then our last wrestling card of the week, the Big Red Machine, 2018 Topps Legends of WWE, Kane. So Kane is the brother of The Undertaker up here. Long story on that. I'll let you research that on your own. But Storyline Brothers, Kane came in later than The Undertaker. A gentleman named Glenn Jacobs is the performer behind Kane, who is now the mayor of Knoxville, and had an earlier character that had a little bit of success before Kane called Dr. Isaac Yankem. He was a dentist, kind of the creepy dentist from the horror movies kind of character. Dr. Giggles. That was the dentist that was in the horror movies. So Dr. Isaac Yankem was kind of in that same time frame and kind of loosely framed after him. But then that went away and he became Kane. And together they were the Brothers of Destruction. So Kane was all about fire. The whole storyline was he was disfigured in a fire when he and The Undertaker were kids. And so Kane somehow created this control of fire. So every time he comes to the ring, there would be these big fire cannons that would come up. He would raise fire out of the 4 ring posts. It was very theatrical, just like The Undertaker. They were kind of mirror images, but different facets of that supernatural. It was pretty cool. I sold this as part of the lot for $1. That was probably $1.99 card. It's a paper card, nothing too special about it, but the character is everything, and I knew I would find a buyer for that one. All right, so that's our wrestling cards for the week. What else do we have left for non-sport? Let's take a look. Well, look at here. We've got a little bit of a hodgepodge of things in the non-sport segments to finish off our week. Starting in the upper left here, we've got a Precious Moments collector's card. I didn't even know these things existed. I came across some in a box, and I thought, I'll take a chance on that. I know a lot of people are kind of fanatical about Precious Moments. I know people search for Precious Moments on eBay. Maybe someone would be interested in these collector's cards. Well, I've got, I don't know, maybe a dozen of them. And this particular one was in kind of poor shape. It was creased pretty well. And I thought, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to list it as a buy it now? Or do I want to do like I've done with some other damaged cards and just list it in an auction, see if anybody's interested, see what it would go for? And that's what I did. I put it in an auction. Nice size crease in this. You can't really see it in the image, but if you had it in your hand, it's an obvious crease. I called it out in the listing, as you can see, but it auctioned off for 99 cents. Do I take a little loss on that? Maybe a dime or so. I mean, I got this for like 5 cents at a card show. Somebody had a pack of them, and I think he just wanted to move them along because he wasn't able to sell them in-person card shows. So I took them to use on eBay. So 10 cents plus 64 cents to mail it. Now we're at 74. We got a sleeve and a top loader. We've got the 30 cents fixed fee. I mean, and then the variable fee, we're probably around $1.10, $1.15. So yeah, I probably lost 10, 15 cents on there. So it's worth it though to research that product. Now I know there are buyers out there for Precious Moments. Kind of gives me an idea of what I can do now with the other cards I got from that are in better condition. So sometimes it's worth it to take a loss if you can learn from it. All right, then we've got a series of Batman cards that went in that lot that I sold. First off, we've got a Joker sticker card. The sticker cards are always hot. This particular one is sharp. We got the red background, the original Joker from the, 1989 Batman movie? Sure, the card tells me that right there. 1989 Topps Batman. So to me, that is still the best Batman movie. It gets a little campy at times, but I loved it. It also ties into some good experiences I had going to Great America down in Gurnee, Illinois. Illinois. I just said Illinois. I know it's Illinois. I hate it when people say Illinois. I don't know why I said that. So it's been a long day, I guess, of just recording content. So I remember going to Great America in Gurnee, and right after the movie, they opened up Batman the Ride, and it was amazing. I had such fun on that ride. So I think that's part of the reason why, in my mind, the 1989 Batman movie is the best of the Batman movies. Plus, it was a return of that series after many, many years. I mean, before that, you just had the old 60s, 70s series with Adam West, and they did a couple made-for-TV movie specials as well. It wasn't nearly the same. The 1989 movie was the first return with a big budget, stunts, and action sequences that were, more modern effects. So that's my favorite Batman movie. I sold that sticker for $2.28. Then we have some Batman the Animated Series cards. This was fun for me. I picked this up at the Milwaukee Card Show at AmFam Field last summer. Got a number of them. It took me a long time to get them listed. Once I got them listed, though, they only took a week or two to sell. That's a lesson for me. I got to list this stuff faster. So I've got 6 cards here from Batman the Animated Series. I take that back. 5 cards, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 cards from the animated series. they don't have they're they're not as distinguishable as sports cards as I go through this, so I kind of want to give you them all together. But this first one here is a exclusive promo card. So this was something like dealers would get to give out and stuff like that, or they'd be inserted into boxes of other product to let you know what was coming. It's Batman and Catwoman. So this is a no number card. This went for $358 as part of a lot. Then this Batman card here is part of a storyline called On Leather Wings. That went for $169. Then we got a nice Batman profile card here. That went for $169 as well. And then another Batman and Catwoman. This is from the actual set. It's number 127. This went for $224. So what I got out of that is Batman and Catwoman together goes for a little bit more than Batman by himself. And then one last Batman profile shot, standing up on a building. This was also part of that lot. This one went for $374. So you might be asking, what makes this one go for $374 versus these ones that went for $1.69? I think it's just the pose. This is more of an iconic pose. You got the moon behind him. He's up on a tall perch on a building. You got Gotham City in the background. Versus this one and this one, you know, those are kind of internal set shots, if you will. I mean, for an animated series, if you want to consider it an internal set, you know, they don't have the same appeal as this Gotham City background with the moon and up on a building. That, to me, is the difference in the price point on those. But that went for $3.74. Again, as part of a lot. So that's quite a bit because I discounted those cards quite a bit in that lot. If this was a single sale, I think I would have sold it for about $6. All right, then we have a Bull Durham card. Larry Hockett out of Bull Durham. Last week on our sales show, we sold Nuke LaLoosh out of this set. Nuke is kind of, I would say, the premier player in the set. This is the second one I sold now. Larry Hockett. I picked these up at the Eau Claire card show last month, or at least a few weeks ago. This sold for $3. Someone's looking to probably complete this set. And that is a Topps Archives set. 2016 Topps Archives. Bull Durham insert set. So that is Robert Wool, who plays Larry Hockett. Up next, we've got a 2022 Upper Deck Champions, Goodwin Champions, Kaylee Blundell. She's a model. I continue to sell some of these model cards. I wouldn't have guessed that. When I opened those blasters and got those model cards, I did not think they would sell well. But I thought, oh, let's put them out there. Let's see if some set collectors try and buy those. That sold for $1.99, again, as part of a lot of cards, a multi-card sale. So $1.99 was actually discounted on that. But I will, now I know, keep getting those model cards because there is a market out there for them. Then we've got our lone Marvel card for the week. This is a nice one. This is 1994 Fleer Ultra X-Men Team Triptych, Jean Grey, Archangel, Professor X, and Storm. So we've got a 4-pack there of key characters. Many of them are primary characters that everybody knows from the movies and the comics. These have sold really well for me. Everything, I bought a whole 72 card set of these cards, got it at a really good price. I've been able to sell these singles slowly but steadily at a really nice price point. This one sold for $8. And I held my price point for this. I got some offers that were much lower. For me, you got Professor X, which is the leader of the X-Men. You've got Storm, who is a major character. You've got Jean Grey, who's a major character. Archangel, kind of a secondary character. But to get them all together, I'm like, I'll find a buyer for $8 at some point. I held my price point. I might have actually had this at $9.99. So I sold it at $8. I think I took an offer just because I see it's rounded off at $8, and I see quantity sold via seller initiated offer. But I was getting some offers for like $4 or $5, and I said, no way. No way. I'm holding out for closer to my list price because I know the market is there. Then we've got a couple of Star Wars cards to finish off the week. We've got a 1977 Star Wars Series 5, the orange borders, Luke Skywalker, farm boy turned warrior, just like getting wombats in his TR-16, right? Something like that. I probably messed up that quote. Adam over at the Dollar Box will probably correct me because he's the Star Wars expert. I sold that for $6.99. The condition was not near mint. I think I listed that as very good or excellent. I don't recall which one it was. You know, it was a little, you can see the corners, even in this image, you can see the corners are a little soft. I don't think there were any major creases or anything, but it definitely showed wear to and through, I guess I would say. So I think I went very good on the condition. Still went for $6.99. You know, it's 1977 set. It's considered a rookie card for Luke Skywalker. So if it was near mint, that's probably double digits. You know, I know Adam over at the Dollar Box sells a lot of Star Wars cards. Pretty sure he would tell me that's like a $15 card if it's in good shape. All right, and our last one of the week. I really appreciate y'all hanging with me. We're at 2 hours and 40 minutes so far, roughly. You know, busy week of sales. I knew it was going to be a long sales video, but a lot of you have asked for this over the past year. I have been in the selling business, and my first content was doing the Dollar Box Live with Adam at the Dollar Box on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central, every Wednesday night. And in the course of doing that, I would get questions in our interactive chat saying, when's Charlie going to list some of his pickups? When's Charlie going to list some of his sales? So I started doing these sales content videos because of that. Want to share with you some of the things we're doing here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. If you like this, make sure you smash that like button. Let me know to keep doing this. If it's your first time here and you found this enjoyable, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get alerted when we put new content out there so you can see some more of it. I know I did it in a long format here this week. Last couple weeks we did it in shorter segments. Just in the time it takes to produce these, I felt I needed to try and do this in the long format again. I think if you're like me, they're nice to put on in the background. A lot of times when I'm working from home, I do kind of a rotation. Sometimes I work from home, sometimes I work in office. When I'm working from home, I'll put a video like this up on the TV and have it playing in the background because it's not something you have to focus on intently. But 3 hours goes by like nothing when I've got that playing in the background and I hear the little bits and pieces that I want to hear. So hopefully that's something you can do with this as well. But let's get to this last card of the week. It's one of my favorites. We've got a Topps 206 from 2022. I love the 206 minis, the little tobacco size cards. I bought a ton of them. I bought a bulk sale on eBay when I first got into the reselling business, learning my way through different markets. I feel like it's been successful turning those, albeit not super fast. I don't sell a ton of them each week, but they steadily go one here, one there, one again here. This week it was Cobb Vanth from Wave 4. I sold that for $2.99. I have fun looking at these when I have them, when I list them, when I understand what they are, which character, what the story is, there's a number of parallels and things like that. I think the trick to mini-sized cards like this is keeping them in good condition. That's what holds their value in these minis. A lot of them are hard to keep in good condition because of the odd sizes. They get tossed around, and then the value suffers, or people just throw them out unknowingly because they're so small. Now, they're not a micro. I've sold a few micros too. Those are really hard to keep in good condition. But the minis, I think collectors appreciate when you can keep them in good condition, and that keeps the market strong. So $2.99 on this one, I feel is a really good sale. This is from, I think, the Book of Boba Fett series. Cobb Vanth, well, he was in, I think he made appearances in both The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett because they kind of tie in. But the actor who plays Cobb Vanth is known for Westerns. He was the lead character in HBO series Deadwood, I think is the name of it, which if you haven't seen it and you're not overly offended by foul barroom language, Deadwood is a fabulous series. I binge watched that about a year ago. I was late to the party on that. It's really good. But the actor who plays Cobb Vanth was the lead actor in that. Cobb Vanth in the Star Wars series that this is from kind of takes that same vein. He's on a remote outpost, kind of that Western motif. The whole Star Wars story kind of has a tie in the Western motif. So the Western Bible, I like to call it, because there's the redemption story, there's the good versus evil. It's all set in these remote locations. There's a lot of gunslinging with blasters. Then there's the sword fighting that brings in the samurais with the lightsabers. George Lucas did a fabulous job creating that story and weaving in all those elements that we all find so fun in other movies and stories. So Cobb Vanth, our last card we're going to discuss for the week. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to flip back over to the primary camera. If I can get my cursor back over. There we go. Welcome back. So I want to thank everybody for joining me on this journey every week. I don't know how this is going to look moving forward as our sales continue to grow. We are a part-time business. So as sales grow, we've got to spend more time listing and shipping, making sure we're maintaining high quality levels in our store. So I've got to figure out how to better balance some of this YouTube content as well, because I think folks want this. I do get comments every week. We talk about it on our lives on Wednesday. People have asked me for this type of content. So I want to keep doing this. I just got to figure out the best way to balance this with the store operations as well, because the store has to come first. So you may see in the coming weeks, we may kind of tweak and adjust some of the things we're doing with our YouTube content. I hope you stick with us. We do have a lot of fun doing this. It's always good working with Stu. So thank you again for joining us. We will see you again next time. Peace out.